Now you want to use antifreeze, which is alcohol glycol, I believe, with your water. And you should go down to a store and buy some distilled water, because it doesn't have minerals and a bunch of crap in it that do get in the cast iron part of the head right in here, and they will leave deposits. What you want to do is you want to use 50% glycol antifreeze and 50% water. No more, no less. What happens if you don't use the antifreeze? The water can boil in here and cause a vapor lock. That's one thing you do not want. But the very important thing is go down to some cheap auto parts store. I don't know what they call them in the UK, but you can get this is a West Tac, I think. You can get a cylinder head temperature. When you start your bike up, and this is my switch here that turns the pump on. And I have a little green light right there. I turn the pump on, I fire the bike up, and I used to have a thermostat right here. I would not put a thermostat in it's almost like having a cylinder's head temp here and one over here. It doesn't work. The thermostat will work if you have like a big block with 2 or 3 gallons of fluid in it, and this can be totally immersed in the water at all times. But due to the fact that the water is running with air and everything else through here, you don't really get a good reading. And you just have 4 more or 5 more different places where it can leak. And here are the fittings, some of the bullshit fittings that I tried to make that cracked. So I finally went down and I found some steel fittings that are all steel, and I'm going to use plumber's tape on them, because with these little homemade radiators, they're really nice, except if you'll notice on the new motocross bikes or everything, they have form-fitted rubber that's specially made, specially curved, and they've spent thousands and thousands of dollars figuring out how that works. With these, it's all by the seat of your pants. You just put it together and hope it works, and it does work really well. Except you don't want any leaks. That's the problem with water coolers. If you get a leak somewhere out in the boonies, wherever you're riding, you shut it down and walk home, because you should not be running anywhere over 250 degrees. If you are, you've got a leak somewhere. You've either got a leak in your head where you're leaking fluid in here, and that's another thing. If you have a leak in this where the hot gases are blowing through the head gasket and into the water, there's one way to tell, and that is with this bottle right here. In this bottle, if there is a leak, the fluid, whatever color you use, this is orange, but you can also use green, it will start turning dark, and you can put your nose in there, and if it smells like exhaust fume, well, you're leaking somewhere. You're leaking in the head. Another good way to tell if you're leaking is if your exhaust pipe gets really, really, really loud. I mean 4 times louder than this. It's because what's happening is the water vapor is being sucked into the head, and the water vapor goes out through the pipe, gets up to about right here and ignites, and it just makes this really snap, 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 really loud sound. These pipes are generally quiet if they're put on correctly and you have no leaks. Another good rule of thumb is every time you ride and you park your bike, the next day come out and look underneath it. If there's any kind of water spots or anything like that, then you got a leak, and you can't just pretend it's not there. So that's my take on the ins and outs of having a radiator on your water-cooled or your water-cooled bike. I do it because I'm running a 54 millimeter piston cylinder in diameter, and it creates a tremendous amount of heat. Plus, I just love this cylinder. After I modified it with the dowels inside here, And this custom copper, I have videos on the custom copper head gasket with this other gasket here. This is top of the line. It's working like it's running like a Russian racehorse. I mean, this bitch just gets out and screams. Especially running this right here. My next 5-gallon deal will be a Q16, which is 120 octane oxygenated. And that has its own oxygen, so it should be really, really like rocket fuel. But I have to wait because gas prices are rising, and this stuff's already 17 bucks a gallon. And your hoses, you should go to your local hardware store and get whatever. Well, I'll go to the next one.